Yo, what is up YouTube? Komi here, back with another Genshin Impact video. Today we're going to talk about the Abyss. As you could see in my previous video, I just shared my first run I did on stream for the 2.4 Abyss. It went pretty smoothly on my account with the Raiden national team and then the Ayaka and Shenhe team on the second half. Those two teams are really good in the current Abyss. But yeah, with this guide, I'll give you more tips about the enemies, team recommendations, and yeah, we'll see what we can do to help you get the maximum stars in this new Abyss. But first, if you like the video, if you like my content, please feel free to subscribe and to like the video. I would really appreciate if you have any questions or if you have any comments about the video, feel free to post in the comment section. And yeah, let's get into the guide. Also, I'm streaming 4 to 5 times a week on twitch.tv/komemos if you guys want to check me out. I do a lot of Spyro Abyss for viewers. I do some fun event with viewers or other streamers. Sometimes we collab. Yeah, if you guys want to check it out, feel free to join the Discord as well. If you need any help with Genshin, if you have any questions, build, stuff like this, feel free to join the community. And yeah, let's get into it. So yeah, let's check the enemies in floor 11 and floor 12. Floor 11, as usual, is not too complicated, I would say. If you're AR 50, 55 plus, it should be pretty straightforward. If your characters are level 90, you don't really need 5-star characters even for that floor. The enemies have pretty low HP. I'm going to show you a little bit more gameplay on screen, but yeah, there's no real strat. I will just say, for the second half, you'd like to get some cryo characters for the Hydro Mimics and the Thundering Manifestation. If you have Ganyu, that's great. If not, you can use Yoimiya, you can use Rosaria is good, like Kazuha, Bennett, Shenling with Rosaria team on the second half worked really well for me against the Thundering Manifestation or even against the Hydro Mimics. Just be careful, there are going to be some birds on the Hydro Mimics. So if you don't have a big AoE skill or big AoE burst, you might need to bring a bow user. But yeah, otherwise they don't have too many HP. They deal quite a lot of damage though, especially on the Hydro Mimics fight. So yeah, just be careful with that. Otherwise the rest is pretty easy. The first chamber, you have to defense the core, the target. But the enemies don't deal too much damage. The rune cruisers and rune destroyers don't focus too much the target, so overall I would say it's not too difficult. And yeah, I don't think I'm gonna give too many advice for that floor 11. I think it's pretty straightforward, and there's not much to say about it. Now for floor 12. First, I forgot to do it before the floor 11, but let's check out the Blessing of the Abyssal Moon. This is really important because you can benefit a lot from that blessing and you can get a lot of increased damage during your fights if you bring the right characters and if you play properly. So the current Blessing of the Moon, when the active character's normal, charged or plunging attacks hit opponents multiple times within 2 seconds, that character's normal, charged and plunging attack damage is increased by 5% for 8 seconds, maximum 15 stacks. This effect can be triggered once every 0.1 second and will be cleared if the target goes down or leaves the field. So you can stack a lot of extra damage with your characters. Most DPS use either normal, charged or plunging attacks, so it is almost a bonus damage for almost any DPS in the game. So yeah, unless you're playing like a quick swap team where you never normal attack or never use like charge or plunging either, this Blessing of the Moon is really good. You can get up to 75% damage increase. That is really good. Considering Shao is coming, Shao just came out with his rerun. Ganyu is coming as well on the next banner. So this is really, of course, to benefit for those two characters. But yeah, it is really good on a lot of other characters. If you have Yoimiya, if you have, I don't know, Raiden, if you have Eula, if you have Ayaka, those characters benefit a lot from this blessing. Okay, now let's check out the floor 12 enemies. For the first chamber, the first enemy is kind of scary. We see the perpetual mechanical array. So you remember this boss was in the abyss a long time ago in 12.3 actually, if I remember correctly, and it was pretty painful to fight it. Now it's pretty much as painful as it was before, but the blessing helps you deal a lot more damage. And the second half, you have the new Abyss Lecter, the Pyro one. So for this one, you want to bring a Hydro character, at least one. If you can bring two, it's great. And yeah, if you have Child with Xingqiu, that works really well. If you have Barbara or Kokomi, those work really well as well. If you just have Barbara or just Kokomi, you can just bring one of those. They are enough to break the shield of the Pyro Herald, the Pyro Lecter, but I would recommend trying to bring two Hydro character to make it easier. And you can always switch the teams in Chamber 2 and Chamber 3, so you don't have to use the same team in all chambers. And especially in this Abyss, as you will see for the next enemies, it's going to be hard to use the same team unless you have really the perfect characters for that Abyss. As you can see in Chamber 2, the first enemy is going to be the Primo Geobishop. This guy is pretty chunky, as you may know. There's no real like big pattern. If you have a shield, that's always nice, because when he does like his attack on the ground, if you have a shield, he's gonna take a lot of damage at that time, so it can help you if you're lacking DPS. But otherwise, it's just a Unga Bunga. He's gonna infuse with Pyro, so if you're using a Pyro DPS, you will deal a little bit less damage, but it's not too much. With the blessing, you should have a lot of damage anyways. And for the second half, it's gonna be two Hydro Herald, Abyss Herald Hydro element. For this, you want a lot of cryo, as you know, to break the shield fast. Since there's gonna be two, they spin a lot, they move a lot on the battleground. So yeah, be careful with that. Bring at least two cryo, Rosaria, Ayaka, Ganyu if you're pulling for Ganyu, or if you already have her. Those cryo characters are great. Dayona, Chongyun, Kaya, all the cryo characters work really well on that fight. Even Aloy. So yeah, just make sure you have two cryo at least, and then some swirl, some 1 DPS, and then you should be good to go. And finally, for the last chamber, the first half is going to be 2 Rune Guards and 2 Rune Graders. So the 2 Rune Guards are going to spawn first, and yeah, just stay on the middle of the map for that fight. The 2 Rune Guards are going to go towards you. You'll be able to kill them together. They don't have too much HP, I feel like. If you have like a good rotation with the blessing as well, it should be pretty fast. And then the 2 Rune Graders spawn approximately at the same spot as the 2 Rune Guards. So just go to one of them, and the other one is going to dash towards you a little bit later, and then you'll be able to DPS them together. No, other than that, I don't really have any particular tips for this fight. You just have to have good rotation. If you feel like you're lacking damage, try to bring different elements to proc melt or vaporize with some swirl. I think it's the best for those enemies that have a lot of physical resistance. And finally, the second half is gonna be our good old Magukenki. He's been here for I don't know how long, probably the last 5 or 6 months, I feel like. But yeah, if you want to know more about the pattern of the Magukenki, maybe I should just talk about it once again, because I did explain the pattern of the Magukenki in one of my previous Abyss guide, but it's been a while, so yeah, I'll just talk about it once again. So basically, at the start of the fight, you just want to charge your bursts. If you didn't do it before, you have like a 5 seconds window where you can just use your skills and get some energy back. But I would recommend having your burst ready right from the start if you can do it on the last chamber. And then go behind him, between him and the wall. So he's gonna face towards the wall. You can start using your bursts at that time, because sometimes he's gonna dash. So if he dashes at that time, because you don't kill him in the first phase fast enough, he's gonna dash towards the wall. So he's not gonna move too far, and it's gonna be much better to DPS afterwards. But if you can pass the first phase pretty fast, then you don't have to worry about it. But just in case, make sure you're between him and the wall. And then after the first phase, when he goes up into the air and slam the ground, make sure he has his back against the wall. So face him in a way where he's looking at you and his back is against the wall. So now after that, he's gonna do a dash behind, so he's gonna be stuck against the wall. And same thing, it's gonna be much easier for you to guess him. Also for the attack where he goes into the air and starts and he slams the ground, you can see a little bit when to dodge, because he's gonna be shining a little bit, like 1 or 2 seconds before he slams the ground. At that time, that's when you want to dodge to make sure you dodge the attack, because technically you don't really need shield. His attacks are pretty easy to dodge. Once you get used to it, you just need the right timings. All right, now in terms of team recommendations, I already talked about it a little bit before, but I'm gonna be more specific now. So my 2 best teams for this Abyss are the ones I used in the video. The first team is gonna be the one called Raiden National, if I'm right. You use Raiden as your main DPS with Bennett, Shengling, and Xingqiu. You don't need your characters to be too build. Like if they don't have like perfect ratios, it's not a big deal. But make sure your Raiden has a decent energy recharge, and same for all your supports. I would recommend 200 ER for Bennett and Shengling, and 180 to 200 for Xingqiu would be the best. And then with this team, you have like insane rotation, burst rotation, and you have insane damage. So this team is the best for the first half. It works for every chamber, and yeah, that's the one I recommend the most. And for the second half, you have a really good team that can go all the way from chamber 1 to chamber 3 as well, which is Ayaka with Shenhe, Kazuha, and you can bring either Kokomi or Mona or Barbara. If you feel like you're not good at dodging, you can bring one of the healers. Otherwise, Mona is probably the best in terms of pure damage. But yeah, I would recommend bringing Kokomi. She works really well for the freeze. And yeah, this team can go against the Pyro Herald in the first half. With Kokomi, you can break the shield. Second half, you can just destroy the 2 Hydro. And on the last chamber against Magu Kenki, it works pretty well. With Kazuha, you can dodge the attacks pretty easily. So yeah, those 2 teams are my go-to for this current Abyss. And now I'm going to show you how you can maybe fix a little bit if you don't have Ayaka, if you don't have Shenhe, or I mean, the first team, usually if you pull for Raiden, you can, and everyone should have this team. The 3 supports are the best supports in the game. So, but if you don't have Raiden, I will show you what you can do. So first, for the second team, if you don't have Ayaka, I would recommend you can use Rosaria. Even though you might like a little bit of damage with just Rosaria and Shenhe, it's still pretty good. If you have good rotation and good ER on your Rosaria and Shenhe, it could work. With Mona, if you feel like you're lacking damage, you can bring Mona instead of Kokomi. You just have to be careful with the dodge. Otherwise, Ganyu works pretty well. Now, if we want to do chamber per chamber, I will show you what you can do. So the first chamber, the first half, almost anything can work. You can try with Hutao, you can try with Ito, you can do except Eula. Maybe Eula might be a bit tricky in the first team, because the mechanical area has a lot of physical resistance. Same for the Rune Guards and Rune Graders at the end. So maybe Eula is not the best option, but almost any other DPS can work. I did it with Catching. Shao can work as well with Bennett. So yeah, you have a lot of options. One good option definitely is a full Geo team with Bennett. Triple Geo with Bennett works pretty well. You can bring Goro instead of Albedo if you don't have him. And then second team, for the first chamber, you can use Child team. Child works really well with like Sucrose. You can just bring 4 stars if you don't have Kazuha with Xingqiu and I don't know, Bennett or Shangling. This team can work really well. Yeah, first half you can bring almost any DPS as long as they're well built. The mechanical area is not too hard. And the second half, I would recommend bringing a lot of Hydro. If you don't have a Hydro DPS, just bring anything and then just slap Barbara at the end and it should work. For the second chamber, for the Primo Geobishop, if you have Zhongli, that's great. Otherwise, you can use Dayona, you can use Yunjin, you can use Noelle. Noelle is great with her shield, or Beidou. If you have a shield character, that works really well to parry the attack and give more damage. And then pretty much the same. The first half overall doesn't matter too much. Just bring some elemental damage for every chamber. It's pretty much the same. Just the second chamber, the Primo Geobishop has pyro resistance, so maybe Utao or Yoimiya will not be as successful as other DPS. But overall, first half you can bring almost anything. And then second half of chamber 2 is going to be the 2 Hydro Heralds. So here you want at least double cryo. If you don't have any 5-star cryo, you can use Rosaria with Dayona. It works really well, and then you can bring a pyro DPS for melt before you proc the shields with Sucrose, for example, something like this, or with Shangling. Anything can work as long as you have enough cryo to break the shields. And finally, the chamber 3. So it's pretty much the same. Chamber 3, first half DPS don't, the characters don't matter too much. Just bring some elemental reactions, and they're pretty quick to die, especially if you benefit as much as you can from the blessing. And for the second half of the Magu Kenki, as I said, Xiao is not really the best option in my opinion. You can bring Eula. Eula works wonders against the Magu Kenki. You can bring Ito. You can bring almost anything against the Magu Kenki. It's just a matter of knowing the pattern and having enough damage. So finally, my last piece of opinion on that new Abyss is that I wouldn't really say it's harder, because the blessing is really strong, and even if your characters are not well built, you'll get a lot of damage anyways. Yes, the enemies have more HP, but it's mostly enemies that don't move too much, so it's easier to hit them compared to the wolves in the previous Abyss. So I would say overall it's either similar, if not a little bit easier. As long as you have one decently built DPS and you can benefit properly from the blessing, you'll be fine. And yeah, I think I thought I would suffer a lot by doing Viewers Abyss in this one, but overall it's not that bad. And yeah, on accounts I used to struggle before, this one is pretty much is a little bit more straightforward. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, make sure you join Discord. Check out my Twitch channel. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.